With the Akashic Records, there are a lot of people who are like, oh, no, no, you shouldn't go into your Akashic Records. And I find this baffling because they are your Akashic Records.
Yours, yeah.
Yeah, so you can absolutely access them. And you don't need to fear anything because the spirit guides or ascended masters or archangels, whoever comes to you in the Akashic Records, they will not share anything that you are not ready to hear.
Welcome to Big Crystal Energy, Season 3, the Veil Season. I'm Ashley, and I live at the threshold. Between medicine and magic, between the visible world and what waits just beyond it, between the person I present and the witch I am. I've learned something. The in-between isn't a problem to solve. It's a place of power. This season, we're exploring the veil, where Victorian women spoke for the dead, where fairies guard the crossroads, where glamour becomes armor, where you stop apologizing for being both things at once. The crystals have always known the way through. Let me show you. Hello, and welcome back to Big Crystal Energy. I'm Ashley, and I am so excited you're here. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to set the stage for you because this conversation took me somewhere I wasn't expecting. My guest today is Meli, the founder of Meli Guidance and host of the podcast Mystical and Practical. She's a past life psychic, a certified Akashic Records reader, and a channeling coach. And like a lot of us, she didn't start out this way. She spent years in marketing and translation before any of this cracked open. And when it did crack open, it wasn't gentle. We're talking a childhood encounter that scared her into slamming the door on her own abilities for decades. What I loved about this conversation is that Meli doesn't treat the Akashic Records as some mystical thing reserved for the initiated. She walks us through what it actually feels like to access them, how her 4 claircognizant senses show up in a reading, and why she thinks the fear around opening a door you can't close is one of the biggest misconceptions out there. So let's dive in. Meli, welcome to Big Crystal Energy. I'm so excited to have you here. She's here all the way from Canada, which is super fun. And welcome. I'm so glad we were able to connect. This is super fun.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Yay. So for listeners that may be discovering you for the first time, I would love if you could share a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do and how you came to this whole path.
Yeah. So my name is Meli. As you said, I'm from Canada. You can hear my accent. I'm actually from Quebec. I'm French
I love
Canadian.
it.
I live there with my husband and my 15-year-old daughter. And in my 20s, I used to work in marketing. And then in my 30s, I worked in translation proofreading, still do a little bit of that. And in my 40s, I started doing Meli Guidance. It's the name of my business. And really shifted into spirituality. And today I am a past life psychic, a certified Akashic Records reader, and also a channeling coach.
That is so incredible. And what I love about that is that myself, like you, I didn't really come into any of this until I had connections to it when I was younger, but I really didn't get into any of it until I was late 30s, early 40s, which I think is so cool, you know? Did you always have a connection with this, or did you know that this was part of your life from a
Oh,
younger age?
it totally took me by surprise because I actually had psychic abilities probably when I was younger, but I shut that completely. I closed the door completely because at 5 years old, a spirit came into my room and it got me really, really scared. So, what happened is that it was in the middle of the night. I woke up because a spirit was talking to me. And I cannot remember what they were saying. I remember vividly that they had masculine energies. So to me, it was a man talking to me. And he realized that I got really, really scared, like unable to speak. I was frozen. And when he realized that, he said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to give you some time. Leave your room. And when I come back, if you have your back turned to me, I will understand that you don't want any contact." So he went away. I turned my back, pulled the covers above my head. I was so
Worst.
scared. I felt him coming back and I felt a little smirk like okay, yeah, she doesn't want any more contact. And he just left. I don't think he said anything. He just left. But for all my childhood and probably teenage years, I was sleeping with the covers above my head. I think I still done it as an adult.
Oh,
It's hard to
wow.
remember now, but I was so scared. And the day after, I asked my mom, like, did someone come in my room? Like, I don't know, did someone visit and came in the middle of the night, like family from far away? And she was like, no, nobody came into your room. So I was like, okay, I don't want anyone to think I'm crazy. So I assumed my brother, who's 10 years older than me and always playing tricks on me, like, I assume it was him because there should be a logical explanation, right?
Of course.
So I asked my brother, and he's like, "Of course, no, I didn't come into your room. I was sleeping." And so I closed the door completely, didn't want to be crazy. Like, there was no support or understanding of this within my family. They were not religious, but they didn't believe in anything spiritual. And, all psychics are charlatans and
Of
all that
course. Yeah.
jazz. So
Mhm.
I just closed myself completely at 5 years old.
Wow. So your mom, like, she didn't really know. She just wondered, you just kind of told her, did someone come to visit? Did she know that did you explain like what happened? I mean, you were 5, so it's probably
I
hard.
didn't want to explain, and I guess
Mhm.
as a mom, she didn't want me to feel scared, right? You want
Uh-huh.
your child to feel secure. So
Uh-huh.
she didn't press on about what I heard. She probably thought I had some kind of weird, vivid dream, and that was it. And I'm sure that she doesn't even remember about that.
Interesting. So you go along, you have all these years of your life working in your regular work. Then how did things start coming back in for you?
It started when my father died,
Mm.
as it starts for so many people who aren't brought up into,
Uh-huh.
knowing what psychic abilities are. And like many people who lose someone who are very, very close to them, like we have signs from them, we have contact.
Uh-huh.
And shortly after my father passed away, I felt him in the evening before I was going to bed. I felt him like brush his hand against
Mm.
mine. I knew, like, I felt his presence, and I was like, mm-mm. I just went like this, like, no contact, please.
Ah.
And I knew that he would understand automatically because a few years back, I went to visit my parents and we watched The Sixth Sense. And I got so scared, like having night sweats about it, unable to
Wow.
sleep because it reignited something within me that, oh, I know I have these abilities. And
Mhm.
this movie is about a kid who's able to see ghosts, spirits.
Mhm.
And that happened to me when I was 5. I could still remember that because I was so scared. So I was like, oh my God. And now I remember this, and now I know this can happen, and like spirits can come into my room, and I don't want to see them. So I went to my parents' bedroom and I slept with them. I was an adult in my early 20s, and my father was like, "I cannot believe she's in our bed. What is this?" So
Don't show her scary movies.
yeah, I knew my father once he's passed, and he brushed his hand against mine when I said, "Mm-mm." I knew that he understood. Like, he wanted to be very gentle, show me he was there, but oh, please no. So that was it. And then 6 months later, I he was buried in a cemetery in Montreal where I lived. So I thought, oh, it's a very nice day. I should go and take a walk outside and, go visit his tomb. Might as well
Yeah,
go there. It's close to my house, my apartment.
of
So
course.
I took a walk, and the more I was approaching the cemetery, the more I felt like a no. I kind of heard the no, but I felt it more like energies were taking me aback. No, you're not going there. I was like, this is very stupid because I'm very logical mind
Mhm.
and nothing of the woo stuff exists. So I'm like, that's fine. It's a huge cemetery. Instead of taking the entry on the side street, I will go and take the official entry. So I go around, and the more I'm getting close, it's like, no, no, I cannot go into the cemetery. And as I get really close to the front gates, I hear, go read the book,
Oh.
go get the book. And I have a flash of the book Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. And there is a bookstore nearby, and I cross a huge street that has like 3 lanes on one side and 3 lanes on the other side where there are no streetlights. It's super dangerous, but it feels like my spirit guides opened up the way for me. Like nothing dangerous happened, didn't get hit by a car, went in zombie mode straight to the bookstore, bought the book, and read it in one sitting. I was floored. This man recollects experiences of him. He was a hypnotherapist, and he would regress people in their childhood just to see,
Mhm.
what was buried there. Maybe there was trauma that was so traumatizing that they completely shut it down and they cannot remember about it. But then he realized that he was regressing people so far back, they were talking about things in between lives and then past lives as well. And all those people who don't know each other, who are from different cultures, religions, speak different languages, um, well, they would speak English as a first or second language with him, but like they would use the same terminology under
Mm.
hypnosis to describe how it is in the afterlife and in past lives. They were talking about spirit guides, teacher guides, making your soul plan before your next incarnation, reunited with your soul family, with your past loved ones. And as I was reading this, I was like, yes, I can remember. Yes, now it makes sense. I come from that place and I have my spirit guides, and it was so clear. So I went to bed, and before turning off the lights, my hands started shaking, and then my forearms started shaking, and I started seeing blue light, and I went like, "No, stop this immediately." And it stopped, and I got so scared that I closed the door on the spirit world again.
Mm. Now, when that happened, when you were going to the cemetery and you got this flash of that book, were you aware of that book?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I had never seen the cover, but I heard the name. A colleague of mine had said maybe a few years ago, a few months ago, or a year ago before that, she talked to me about that book, and she said, I don't know why I'm saying this to you, but there's this book that I found fascinating, and maybe you would too. And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. Maybe. But I completely forgot about it after that.
I see. So that wasn't even really anything that was on your radar, but then in that moment it came to you and then you just felt this extremely strong pull
Hmm.
to risk your life, run through all these cars, get and then you just had that connection with it, but then it just didn't feel like even at that moment it was the right time still.
I think my father just wanted me to know where he was, that he was doing okay, but it also opened up something inside me. Like I was understanding that we are all one. And I had this understanding of where I am from and how we're
Mhm.
all connected. So even though I closed the door, I didn't want any experiences with the spirit world. I still believed in all of that and was in awe of the earth plane and all the experiences I was getting to have, but I was too scared to have any contact.
So at that time, what kind of work were you doing?
I was working as a communications director at Studio 303 in Montreal, who's a dance and interdisciplinary arts presenter. So it was kind of a conventional title in a very unconventional business, like a lot of events for LGBTQ community.
Mhm.
You can look at me, like I look very, very like a straight person, very by the book person, but I looked very straight, and I was at some point the only straight person in the office, but I liked how I was surrounded by people who were very different, very
Love that.
colorful. So there was always this aspect of being very I was very free and independent at that job, and I was surrounded by people who like were wearing crystals and were a bit woo woo, and I thought it was fun, but I never thought that I would join like the bandwagon.
You never really thought that at that time, you never really considered that maybe that was for you also.
Yeah, because I was never woo woo, but you don't really need to dress woo woo to be
No,
spiritual.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's like a big thing that I think about too is that, I mean, something that I like to share on the podcast is that just because you have certain interests doesn't mean you have to look a certain way. A lot of
Mhm.
people I know that carry whatever different titles, they just walk around looking like everybody else, but they're very, like, very spiritually powerful. But that doesn't, it's not about your outfit, it's about what you are experiencing
Right.
on the inside. So walk me through what then happened. How did you finally decide to stop shutting it down?
When I was 35 years old, my daughter was 4 years old, and I think you have a 4-year-old, right?
He's almost 4. Mhm.
Okay, okay, because I saw
Yep,
one of your story today.
yep, he's almost 4.
So, yeah, 4 can be a very difficult age with the tantrums and everything. It was difficult for me not knowing how to I love control, but with a child, like, you cannot control another
Nope.
human being, and they're going through childhood, so I felt like I didn't know how to act and react to all of this.
Mhm,
And at some point, I saw myself screaming at my daughter, but I had this out of body experience. I was seeing myself and how I looked to her. And I was like, no, 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 no. I won't become that monster. I want to be the mom who's, very calm and shares a lot of wisdom. So I decided that my diagnosis was that I was too stressed and I needed to meditate.
okay.
So I did. I mean, it's a great way to start. And I did. I downloaded the Headspace app because it was pretty much the only app at the time. And I started meditating, started with the basics, and that got me into that rabbit hole of spirituality, wanting to be a better person because I wanted to be a better mother for my daughter. And I found out about Eckhart Tolle's book titled The Power of Now. I read that and that changed my life. I realized I wasn't in the present moment at all. I was controlled by my ego. So I changed a lot internally, but my husband and my family wouldn't really notice that,
Mm,
but a lot of change for me internally. And because I was so called by all that spiritual stuff, I started listening to podcasts.
mhm.
So I listened to Oprah's podcast with Eckhart Tolle, and that brought me to listen to her interview with past life psychic Ainsley McLeod. And
Okay.
everything Ainsley was talking about, it was like a copy paste of what Michael Newton was talking about in his book Journey of Souls. Like he was talking about spirit guides, the soul plan, soul family, our life missions. Everything was the same as what the people who were hypnotized would relate. And Ainsley was saying, well, everyone can connect to their spirit guides. It's actually very natural for us to communicate with the spirit world because we are spirit and this is where we come from. And he said that in his book, The Instruction, he was teaching people or guiding them on how they could do it. So I bought the book, I sat down, I tried, didn't achieve that at all. I got super scared. I screamed in my room because the floor cracked.
Oh my gosh.
How random. Because I thought spirits would come into my room and maybe I would see them or hear them, that it would be like in Hollywood movies. And this is not how it works. But I kept at it. I really wanted to connect with my spirit guides. So something was bigger, like the pull felt stronger within me, that I wasn't going to let fear get in the way this time.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like when you were 5, kind of traumatic, right?
Yeah.
That experience. So it was hard for you. You had those things that happened over the years, but it was just like you kept thinking back to that kind of scary, traumatic experience, and you didn't want to have that happen. Nobody wants scary entities coming into their world. And if you're new
Mm.
to this whole path, sometimes you don't really know what you're up against. You don't know what you're going to be
Yeah.
opening and being receptive to. So I can understand that. I really can. So you started working with it, and then eventually you felt like you were able to connect with your guides.
Yes. So I at some point I was very determined. So the book wasn't enough for me. The book had all the correct instructions, but I needed more details on how I was specifically able to connect. So I took online courses and I started working one on one with a mentor.
Mhm.
And with the course and the mentor, like that really opened myself up. And I understood how subtle the message are, specifically the first time that you connect. And you don't necessarily connect to a spirit guide the first time. So the very first time, it was more like I had a past life regression and I had something shown to me. And then I had a spirit animal who came to me. So that
Mhm.
was that way. And maybe talking to a spirit guide was too big for me. Like it was too impressive for me. So that wasn't how I needed to connect at first. But yeah, I did manage to connect with spirit guides and channel messages. And in the course I was taking, at the end of the course, we were invited to connect with other students and do reading exchanges. And I did a lot of them. And we had to fill out a form. You know, I was receiving guidance and then I was giving guidance to them. It was always like this good exchange. And we needed to fill that form saying, like, was the reading, how did you feel? Was it accurate? Did you felt like it was ethic and yada yada? And the last question was, do you think the reading you receive, it could be a professional reading? Like, would you pay for that type of reading?
Mhm.
And the people would get back to me and say, Melly, like, I would pay for that reading. That's professional level. And I was like, well, I just
Wow.
started. And they were saying, no, like, you're really good. You should get out there and offer your services. And so that wasn't the plan at all. But a part of me is like, if I'm good at something, then let's make something out of it. So
Absolutely.
I launched my Instagram account 5 years ago to this day. So today is my fifth birthday for Meli
Woo!
Guidance.
Happy birthday. That's amazing. Here we are in our birthday polka dot shirts.
Yes.
We're twinning today, which is so fun.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, at first I wasn't really offering services. I just had an Instagram account and was making card readings like, oh, choose your card. And then
Yeah.
people were like, oh, I'd like to have a card reading with you. I was doing oracle cards at the time, but my readings were channeled with spirit guides. And yeah, word of mouth got around, and slowly I needed to get things started and running.
Does it feel intimidating to do that kind of work at times, like especially in the beginning when you didn't really expect that to be your path, and then all of a sudden people are telling you you're really good at that? Is that kind of scary, or how does that feel?
Yeah, a lot of people think that someday I decided to leave my job as a translator and do this full time, but it's not the case, and it is still not the case. Nowadays, I would say it's pretty much 50-50 translation business and guidance business, but I'm feeling like translation business, I get less and less clients because I'm manifesting more on the spiritual front for Meli Guidance. So I'm only keeping like my clients that are my favorite and
Sure.
have, business who they're making a change in the world and all of that. So it's a very smooth transition. It's more like one day I told my husband, like, I'm getting more readings and I'm going to get serious about this and I'm getting a website. And it's like, oh yeah, I've got the perfect person for you to do the website. So he wasn't like, oh no, don't do this. He was happy for me.
I
And
love that.
he works in marketing. That's how we met. We met when I was in my 20s and working in marketing. So he's still doing that. So every time he's helping me with the business, putting me in contact with the right people. So he
That's so
was like,
cool.
he had the business mind, like, yeah, go ahead, you can do it.
That's so wonderful. I love supportive spouses.
Yeah.
What does he think about your path? Is he a spiritual person too?
Yes, he is. So he is Laotian,
Uh-huh.
and his parents are Buddhists.
Uh-huh.
And so he was brought up in that spirituality. So for
Mhm.
him, I'm very much about spirit guides. He's very much about ancestors. So
Uh-huh.
when I do readings for him and I do my little calling out the spirit guides at the beginning, and I do my regular speech, and he stops me, he's like, no, you can call in the guides, but you call my ancestors. It's
Okay.
important for me that you say the word ancestors. I'm like, oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
I need to start over for him because it's very much ancestors. And of course, he believes in reincarnation and past lives. So he's not into it as much as I am, but he turned 50. So with that milestone, now he's very much more spiritual because he feels like he's at halfway point and he doesn't want to spend life on things that aren't important. So he's
Absolutely.
more than more spiritual. And he does yoga every day with me, which he wouldn't have done a few years ago.
Oh gosh, that's so cool. I love to hear that progression and how he's been so helpful. And it is really nice to have spouses that are supportive. I mean, my husband's very
Mhm.
supportive of whatever I'm doing. He doesn't judge or whatever. I wouldn't say that he is involved in any of my things in any way, but he definitely
Mhm.
is just like, yeah, you do you. You do whatever is right for you. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. So I don't imagine I have that many listeners that aren't familiar with some of the topics that you're talking about, but can you kind of just, for people that don't really understand, can you kind of explain what reincarnation is and what a soul journey is, just to get some context around that before we build upon, upon those topics?
Yeah, I'll really talk about it in a snapshot because
Yeah.
actually the first season of my whole podcast is about this. So
Oh,
I could
wonderful.
yeah, I could
Yes.
talk about it for hours, but in a nutshell,
Yes.
we are born in a soul cluster, which is our soul family. And we evolve with this soul family throughout all our soul journey or our reincarnation journey, if you wish. And our soul family has a dedicated teacher guide. So we have many spirit guides, but there is one dedicated teacher guide who works with us, and he's helping us planning our soul plan before we incarnate. So before incarnating, we choose what our soul types will be, which shape our personality. We choose our life missions, plural. We have many. We also choose the past life talents we will bring with us, the fears we want to heal, challenges, desires, a lot of things. And we choose I call it kind of the starting situation where we will live our parents. We actually choose them if we're going to be rich or poor. So our birth situation has actually be chosen by us as a soul. And so we incarnate, and then once an incarnation is done, we go back on in the to the spirit world, which my spirit guides call the astral plane. So we go back there, we have a life review, reunite with our soul family, our past loved ones, spirit guides. We go to earth school, and then when we feel ready, we go back and we go back prepping ourselves for the next soul plan. And that's all in the span of 10 soul levels. So we reincarnate about 5 to sometimes 20 times in a level
Oh,
from
wow.
level 1 to 10. So we reincarnate a lot, like it's close to 100 times. And once our soul journey or reincarnation, or I would say earth journey for that reincarnation journey, once we feel that we have a good grasp of what it is to be human, so that means what it is to be loved, to give love, the fact that we are all one, to be compassionate. When we feel that we have a good grasp of it, not that it's perfect, but when we have a good grasp of it, then we're like, okay, I don't need to reincarnate anymore. And we become a full time spirit guide on the astral plane.
I think when I first learned about all of this, I remember I took a class at this place here in Sacramento, and I went and I took this class, and I didn't really understand these concepts very much. And I didn't really know that that's what this class was going to be about. And I remember it literally just like blew my mind learning about all of these things. But what has really helped me is that when I have struggles, when I have challenges, especially as we do with our families, our parents, I constantly am reminding myself, my soul chose this. So there are some lessons here that I must be needing to learn. And truthfully, for me, it's been very helpful to recognize it in those ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there's so much we come here to learn, and we also come to heal from past life trauma. That's a big thing. And we come to balance karma, whatever
Hmm.
happened, good or bad, like we want to balance karma in some way. It's always about being a better person. So
Hmm.
that one of our main mission, that the people who are listening to the podcast, they're old souls. If they are interested in spirituality, they are old souls.
Hmm.
And every old soul chooses a mission of love as their main mission. The mission of love is just like give love, receive love, and
Hmm.
basically just be a good person.
Hmm. That's so interesting. Now, I think a lot of things that come up too is this idea of karma. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of people in our modern people use karma, and I don't think they use it really necessarily in the right way. What do you think about that? Do you have anything to say about karma? Because people are like, oh,
Yeah.
well, this happened, so karma's going to get them and stuff. And I'm always kind of like, well, it's not really quite like that.
No, karma is not punitive at all.
Yeah.
It's always about finding balance and learning lessons. It's about seeing all the two sides of the coins, but I feel like two sides is too binary. It's really about understanding all the aspects of a situation. So let's say someone comes back and I don't know, someone is gay. Okay. So it's hard to tell, like, do they chose to be gay because they were homophobic in a past life and they got someone killed because someone was throwing rocks at them because they were gay? Or maybe it's actually the contrary. They're an old soul and they want to have that experience of being gay in that time, or maybe trans or pansexual, whatever, but because they want to learn another way of loving. And
Hmm.
maybe they are going through a fear of self expression. And if you are incarnating as gay, well, you have to express yourself and you have to be very vulnerable. And it means at some point you'll need to be coming out. So you never know, are the people, did they choose a situation because they did something bad, or on the contrary, like there's nothing bad at all and they just want to have a specific experience? But all in all, you choose your birth situation. But when you choose your birth situation, you might choose parents that are younger souls and that, hmm, maybe there's going to be some kind of violence in that household. If things go south, that might happen. But if you choose parents that may be violent, those parents, when they incarnate, their goal is never to be violent. This is not what they want. But as younger souls, this could happen. They may be younger souls who carry some kind of trauma and they know they will be triggered and it can be go one way or the other. So the goal is never to be mean to someone because they need to have some karma balance.
Hmm. That's interesting. I like the way that you explain that because I think it makes a lot more sense. Because I think a lot of people just think it's like karma, someone did you wrong and oh, karma is going to get them. And now they're going to get a car accident or some bad thing's going to happen to them. But that's not really,
Mhm.
I don't really know how the term got twisted to that way. Why, I don't really know.
I think sometimes it's appeasing. Like we see
Yeah, I guess
someone who's
so.
so bad and it's like, oh, I just want karma to get them.
Yes.
And it's true, karma will get them in some way or the other, but we don't know how.
Yeah. It's not like it's going to be something that necessarily just happens the next week because they did you wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think that people, if someone has a specific talent in this lifetime, in this incarnation, do those talents, do those things carry on to other lifetimes or when you
Always,
always? Oh, okay.
always carry your past life talents.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. And those talents that you choose and you put in your soul plan, they are there to be used. So, as old souls, what's interesting is that we have many past life talents to activate. This is how old souls very often will be entrepreneurs. They
Mhm.
want to have their business, do things their way, and then they're going to have many different kind of businesses because they want to touch on a lot of different things, but also because they have a lot of different talents that they want to express. Now, you don't have to express all your talents in a job. Like you can express a talent for art just by painting during the weekends for yourself. And
Mhm.
that's perfect. But for a lot of old souls, like we see nowadays in North America, it's really easy. Like I did, like every decade, I have a new business, a new career. And that's very much accepted in North America. And this is very pleasing for old souls to be able to change themselves, their way of lives, and what they do so easily because they're kind of having fun touching on different things and activating different past life talents.
It makes me think about, so I've always kind of thought maybe my own parents are younger souls just because of the way that they've navigated the world and they don't like a lot of change. And then here I come and I've always been someone that I'm not really scared of change. I like to move. I like to try new things. I've always got so many different things going on because I want to experience everything that I can experience. And they're very rigid, have the same job forever and live in the same house forever. And they can't really understand and it's so interesting. It's like, well, how am I even their child sometimes? I mean, obviously I have traits of each of them as we do, but I'm such my own individual. And sometimes I think they look at me and they're just like, what is happening here?
Hmm. Right. So there can be two explanations here. First off, many old souls choose to be brought up in with young soul parents or in young soul families because it's easier to have triggers with younger souls because there
Mhm,
is much more drama, because they have less wisdom, because younger souls see the world as black and white
mhm,
and they like their set of rules and to follow those set of rules because they haven't been around the block a lot as much as old souls. So having the rules and seeing things black and white, it's very reassuring.
mhm,
This is how a lot of young souls are into religion because
mhm,
it's something exterior from you that tells you how to be, act, behave. And this
mhm,
is reassuring to them. While when we are old souls, we're looking inside of us to find the answers. So we're much more spiritual. So, yes, it's very possible that, your parents are younger souls and this is why you chose them. It's also possible that your parents are old souls but have a very, very strong desire for security.
mhm,
So that can happen as well. There are old souls who went through horrific past lives, and sometimes it's like one after the other, like two, three, four past lives, one after the other, where, oh, there's war and there's big trauma. And at some point, they're like, okay, I'm having this life with a desire for security and even a mission of control where I just want to settle down and breathe. Okay, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to come back on earth. I'm still going to, heal the trauma and go through challenges and learn life lessons. But I just want to feel like there's this kind of home base and I can breathe. So you really never know.
Now, if you are someone and you're hearing this podcast and you're like me, just totally fascinated by all of this, how can you find out these things about yourself? Is this through the Akashic Record?
I do it through the Akashic Records. I actually offer soul plan Akashic readings where we go and see, okay, what are your soul types, life missions, past life talents, and all of this. And for me, the Akashic Records are the best way to access this information. The records are really at a high frequency. Like you need to go higher up than your crown chakra. You need to connect at the soul star chakra level. That's the eighth chakra that isn't very well known.
Mhm.
And your Akashic Records are actually your book of life. A lot of people imagine a huge ancient library where you just go and you find your book of life and you open your Akashic Records. Or you have your own library and there are big doors and you open the doors to your library. Now, to each their kind of visions of that, because it's actually an energetic space, it's a vibratory space. So it doesn't truly have a specific image or scenery, but to when people access their records, like everyone, it's going to be different for everyone. Some people see meadows, people find themselves in this kind of cave. So it's very different. But I like to go in the Akashic Records because we can go deep. And this is where it's so much easier to go and channel past lives, check on karma, contact elevated spirit guides. So this is something that I teach as well. I have 2 Akashic Records courses, level 1 and 2. So when people work with me, they have a choice. They can either learn to do it for themselves or they can book with me and I do it for them.
Okay, so let's say you are going into someone's Akashic Record. I'm just interested in what that feels like for you. Are you seeing things? Are you feeling things? I mean, what does that look like?
It's a
It's hard for
pretty
me to
much
understand.
I use a mix of the 4 clairs when I channel. So the 4 clairs are clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and claircognizance. Claircognizance is also known as clair knowing, so it's having
Mhm.
downloads of information. So I will feel things, see things, know things, and hear things. When I say hear things, it's like hearing through my third ear, just like you hear people talking in your dreams, but they're not talking in your room.
Mhm.
So I get a mix of all the clairs. I may get a strong visual and then hear a sentence. When I channel past lives, I see mini movies of the past life and
Okay.
of the impactful events. I like movies, so I feel like the spirit guides use what I like to help me. When I do card readings, because I also do oracle and tarot card readings, I often ask the spirit guides to animate a card. So I look at the card and I ask them to animate and show me what's going on there. And this is what's going on for the person in their life and what they're going through. And sometimes it's just a very strong feeling. It's a very strong, no, this is not good for you. So yeah, I never know how it's going to turn out. Sometimes a spirit will speak through me, a spirit guide will ask me to come and kind of sit in my energy and they will speak through me, and sometimes it's just I am the relay there and I'm the translator.
Does it feel when you're accessing this for yourself or for others, how does that feel in your body? Do you feel like physically, what does that feel like?
The first times or maybe the first months, it was like, oh, vibrations are so much higher, like, oh, I can feel it. Oh, I'm accessing the records. Now I can feel the shift.
Mhm.
Now that I'm really used to it, it's so natural. I'm not feeling anything special anymore. I'm used to getting those hits really, really quickly. I'm going to feel more when a spirit's coming. in my energy. And sometimes things that they will say, they say things that are so important or very emotional that I will get emotional.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's not even that emotional, but I'm starting to cry a little bit, like my eyes are watering. And I tell people my eyes are watering right now. So this is important. This is a sign that they are giving me. This is a big truth that you are saying right now. And sometimes a big truth for someone may sound very ordinary for me. Because,
Sure.
I've read so many self development books and I've worked in the business for 5 years. So things about life lessons and all of that, be telling someone that they need to be more present to themselves, or I don't know, all
Yeah.
things self development sound ordinary for me, but maybe that person hears a message for the first time that in their family and their surroundings, they would never get told that kind of message. And the spirit guides are saying this is important. And when they do, I repeat the message just to be sure that it lands.
Yeah, because I mean, these kinds of conversations are not something that I would, other than my friends that are enmeshed in this world, these are not normal conversations that just come up at dinner typically, right? And so yourself and me, I love all this. I could go down so many rabbit holes. And so having these conversations doesn't feel that much like, but I understand what you're saying. Those messages that could come through that feel like maybe not that profound for me could be very profound for somebody else because they're just not exposed to these things all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's like you need to love yourself more. But for me, I work in that field. Like, I
Mhm.
got that message for myself. I get that message for so many people.
Mhm.
But maybe they come from a family where they never received love and they've never been shown how to give and receive love. And just hearing that from their spirit guides makes them tear up. And that's
Oh
exactly what they
gosh.
needed to hear. So it's important for me as a psychic to tell everything that comes through.
Uh-huh. I have a friend that also reads Akashic Records, and she was just telling me that you have to really let go of so much ego when
Yeah,
you're because you're getting all these messages and so many times we can rationalize, what things are coming through and you really have to just let go and like let those messages flow through you. Is that how it feels for you too?
exactly. It's kind of the number one thing we learn
Yeah.
when becoming a psychic or an Akashic Records
Mhm.
reader. Like, it's one of the bases in the courses. Like, you need to let the ego aside.
It's hard too,
And
right? I'm sure it would be hard.
yeah, I remember some clients where I just wanted to tell them, like, oh, you need to dump that toxic partner. But it wasn't my place. And the spirit guides were hinting at that, anyways. But it wasn't my place. Was like, oh my God, oh no, I wish them so much to be able to
Mhm.
break up with them and take their power back. But it wasn't my place.
Interesting. So if someone would come to you for an Akashic record reading, what might they be coming to you for? I mean, do people just book with you because they're interested? Do people have questions? What are common themes that you're experiencing?
The main entry point is the soul plan. People are really curious to know about their soul plan, why they're here. And when I do the soul plan reading, I also tell people at what soul age they are. So that's something people are really curious about. And then after that reading, people like to come back for a past life reading. Because I'm a past life psychic, this is how a lot of people find out about me. So they want to know about their past lives. Some people have blockages that they cannot explain where it comes from. Like, they didn't have any trauma in their childhood. So why do they have all these fears and blockages, or are being traumatized by, I don't know, like leadership figures, authority figures, and they don't understand why they are blocked and they cannot go any further in their work because of that, or they're unable to communicate with their spouse. Some have problems in the bedroom. So I also ask questions about sexuality. Some people are very, very, I would say, like, they're wondering about their sexuality and they don't even dare talking about it to their spouse because they don't know, well, am I bisexual, pansexual, or am I meant to be trans? So some people come to me for that. Some people have physical ailments that the doctors cannot explain the source of it. The doctors can help treat it, but they're like, this is weird. We don't know where it came from and how it's so difficult to treat. So I'm not there to heal anyone, but I can go and check in a past life. Yeah, okay, you got stabbed violently, so this is why this place on your body always hurt, or you got hung, so this is why you cannot bear having a turtleneck, for example. So
Right.
there are traumas from, and there's also the witch wound. The witch
Mm-hmm.
wound meaning like women burnt at the stake because people thought they were witches
Mm-hmm.
or hanged or thrown
Yeah.
rocks or whatever. So a lot of women are like, I'm trying to connect with my spirit guides, but I'm so scared. I feel like I have the blockage. Do I have the witch wound? So we go in past lives and check. But what I do is that I always ask the spirit guides, please show me the past life. No, please show me the source of X trauma or fear or blockage. So I don't ask them to show me a past life because maybe it's more like an ancestral blockage.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's from their childhood, but they don't remember. So when I'm in the Akashic Records, I get access to all that information. So I just ask, show me the source of this. But more often than not, we're going into a past life.
So that can be a lot. So if someone's learning all this information, then what do they do with that? I mean, how do you move forward from that? I mean, if you're learning, I mean, I imagine at times there can be some pretty intense information that comes forward.
Yeah, so I always ask the spirit guides, what are the tools you want to share with them so that they can heal? So usually the spirit guides will share tools for people how to move forward, but very often just knowing about the past life brings healing.
Mhm.
And once people know about it, what they can do is that they can meditate and go and meet their soul and explain to their soul that this was a past life, this was then, and now this is now. Like, for example, I would say, okay, now I am Meli. I live in Canada, in a country where I am safe and I have freedom and I am loved by everyone around me. So I am safe. Because for the soul, we are still at life number 0. We never died.
Mhm.
So we're still at the beginning. We're just accumulating all those experiences and trauma. Just think about everything we are accumulating in this life, and it can feel very heavy at times. But
Worse.
now maybe you've reincarnated 60 times already. So the past life trauma from the first lives, it has been healed and dealt with. So you're good. If you're an old soul, you don't need to go and heal a past life from your first lives or when you were in level 1. You're good. You've done that already, but you're still accumulating from other lifetimes. And so just meeting the soul and explaining that, the soul goes, huh, oh, you're right. So you're able to differentiate the two and move forward with your life.
That's really interesting to know. I love how you're able to get tools though for people to move forward because I think, we don't want to just get information and then just feel like, okay, now what? We need things to help us move forward, but I know even from my own readings, things that have come up that it just made sense to me and then I could really just by knowing that information, it really just I don't want to say resolved it, but it was like, okay, well this makes sense now and I can just kind of move forward from here. Like I don't
Mhm.
have to do anything per se. I just now that I have that knowledge, I feel better about things sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there 'cause sometimes I feel like when I talk to people that aren't so knowledgeable about this, they feel like it's scary or I don't know. Are there misconceptions that people have that you see a lot?
With the Akashic Records, there are a lot of people who are like, oh, no, no, you shouldn't go into your Akashic Records. And I find this baffling because they are your Akashic Records.
Yours, yeah.
Yeah, so you can absolutely access them. And you don't need to fear anything because the spirit guides or ascended masters or archangels, whoever comes to you in the Akashic records, they will not share anything that you are not ready to hear. So sometimes I can see things that I find that are really tough when I do past
Mhm.
life readings, but I'm like, I wouldn't be seeing it if the person wasn't ready to hear them. Now that can stir emotions, but it's always the spirit guides always know, oh, it's going to stir emotions, but they're ready to work on it. So there is this misconception. Sometimes there's a misconception that, oh, if you connect to your spirit guides, you can connect to malevolent entities.
Mhm.
And if you don't know how to do it, it could happen. I mean, there are mischievous entities. It
Of course.
exists. I mean, I've dealt with one and I've kicked one out of my house at some point. But if you know just how to address spirit guides and say, hey, I'm here to contact my spirit guides who have my highest interest and heart. And I only want you to share the information from the highest source and to protect me during the reading. You know, if you say all of these things, you're going to be protected. And of course, in spirituality, people have surely heard of that, but there's this bubble of golden light that you can project outside of yourself. You can cleanse your space. There are a lot of tools to make sure that you are secure. But yeah, I feel that with the Hollywood movies, a lot of people are scared, and I can completely understand because I used to be so scared for
Mhm.
the longest time. And my husband still is scared sometimes when I tell him, I cannot remember the last experience I had a few weeks ago. And I was like, yeah, there was a spirit that was telling me this message when I woke up. Oh, yeah, I had a spirit like going ting, ting, ting on poking me on my shoulder because I needed to wake up for a podcast interview that was earlier than I would usually do because it was with someone in France. And with the time difference, I needed to wake up really early.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this spirit woke me up. And it was really nice because I don't have an alarm clock. My
Oh,
teenage daughter is my alarm clock when she
okay.
goes to school, but I needed to wake up before that. And he was like, oh my God, someone was in the room and touching you. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but it felt so nice. Like, oh, thank you.
Thank you. You've got my back. I love
Yeah.
that. That's really cool. I think
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, what if how would someone know if they were ready to start accessing the Akashic records, or if they were ready for a reading? I mean, would it just be something that you would feel? I mean, how would you know that it was the right time for
Yeah.
you?
You absolutely feel the call, which means that you hear about the Akashic records and you cannot get them outside of your mind. Like the word keeps coming back. You keep getting things about the Akashic records on your feed, on the web. Like friends will tell you about the Akashic records, or you go to a friend's house and you're like, oh, there's a book on the Akashic records.
Mhm.
And so this is how you know you're feeling called to explore them.
I love that. Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know about Akashic Records or any of this until I feel like way into my life. So, I think probably that happens for a lot of people, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
was
now
40
it's
years
more
old when I heard about them.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I was probably about the same age. I mean, I feel like for me, I was about 40 I was 40 when I had my youngest. Yeah, so that was like a big that the birth of him was a major shift for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
So do you think that people get called to this, like, more commonly around times of big life events or,
Yeah,
like
generally, we have many spiritual awakenings in
yeah.
one lifetime, and when there's a big life event or a traumatic life event that we want to heal from, it happens, but just the midlife crisis. And midlife crisis isn't at the same age for everyone. Or like 30, 35, 40, or 50. It depends on the people. But yeah, when this happens, it's like, oh, I really want to matter in the world, have an impact, and be a better person. And this is a huge starting point. And for me, I was like, Wow, my spirit guides have been with me since the inception of my soul. So they are the best people to reach out to know what exactly I need.
Yeah, because I know when I had my son, it was kind of this juxtaposition between having a child that I've been trying to have for years. I didn't necessarily want to be 40 years old when I was having my second baby, but I mean that's just the way that the cookie crumbled, you know, and
Mhm.
it was so wonderful having this, but then it was also like it just felt like everything around my life was crashing down. And, you know, for me in particular, my kind of gateway to spirituality, and I think this is common for a lot of people, was the crystal connection, of
Yeah.
course. But soon beyond that, it kind of, it really opened the floodgates to a lot of things. And then all these things that I had been experiencing and feeling throughout my whole life that I had kind of like yourself kept shoving away because maybe they, you know, you have to live your normal life, you have to have a job, you have to make money and all these things. But then it just all started kind of rushing back in. And instead of pushing it away, I said, well, maybe now is the time.
Absolutely. It's kind of the soul speaks louder when you get to that point of kind of midlife. And we say crisis. It's not like a big crisis for
Yeah.
everyone. It's much more subtle for a lot of people, but the soul is kind of don't forget me, don't forget what's in your soul plan, and very unconsciously we're like, "Oh, I have less time maybe that I thought I would get." Because you don't know when it's going to be the end, you know, are you going to live up to 70, 80, 100? Who knows? So I really want things to matter. And when you're a spiritualist soul type, that is a soul type that most old souls, and I would say like 95 to 98% of old souls choose the spiritualist soul type as their main soul type. So this is the lens through which you're seeing the world mainly. And it means that you want things to matter, you want to go deep, you want to have an impact. And this is how I was saying a lot of old souls decide to have their own businesses and be
Hmm.
their own bosses because they feel like there isn't a lot of time and they want things to matter and they are looking for a lot of purpose. And
Hmm.
this is, they're looking around and they're like, I'm going to give it to myself and I'm going to create a business or a project so that I can move forward with that and feel that my soul is nourished.
It's so interesting that you say that because, like, I'm connecting all these dots. You know, I've felt like a lot of transition over the past however many years, 5 years maybe, with friendships too.
Mhm.
Because those friendships that were people that, I mean, I still like them. And of course, they're my friends still, but like I started feeling this deep need for friendships that really fulfill me on a soul level, where we can have these conversations and we can really go deep. And we're not just talking about our day to day lives and we're talking about deep things. But the thing that is so interesting is that so many of these friends are entrepreneurs.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, and prior to that, a lot of my friends that I was making friends mostly because of proximity, like with my work in medicine and things like that. Like a lot of my friends just were friends because we all worked together and things like
Mhm.
that. But then
Yeah.
once I started feeling less satisfaction with what I was getting, I started purposely going out and creating friendships with people that had these commonalities. And so many of them are entrepreneurs. And I'm just like, wow, that is so fascinating that you said that.
Yeah, old soul trait. Not all old
Yeah, not
souls like
all, right?
you, because you have a lot of young souls who are at level 5, and at level 5 it's all about power, positions of power. So Donald Trump is level 5. And pretty
Okay. Can
much
you
all the
explain?
dictators and all
Oh,
that, they are
interesting.
all level 5.
Explain that a little bit more because this is fascinating.
Okay.
Tell me why
So
you
young
think that.
young souls go from levels 1 to 5 and
Mhm.
old souls go from levels 6 to 10. And these
Okay.
are the 10 soul levels that were channeled by Ainsley MacLeod. And I
Okay.
was using them before becoming a professional psychic. And when I started doing that professionally, I asked my spirit guides, like, this is just a perfect structure for me. Can I use it in Akashic readings? And they were like, yeah, sure. But there are a lot of different structures for soul ages. And it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It's just a way of structuring things. So I use that 10 level structure. And what happens is that imagine that when we start our soul journey, we're kind of imagine a clock, and soul journey starts, and it's like it's midnight. Okay, we're at the 0 point, and there are the 10 soul levels. And so imagine a clock that goes from 0 to 10 instead of 0 to 12. So we
Mm-hmm.
start at 0, and in our first incarnations, we still feel pretty close to the spirit world. So this is where people are closer to nature and they're into animism and all of that. They are young souls, but very close to nature because nature is like
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
So they still remember that we are all one. And then we reincarnate and we go further from the source. And when we're at level 5, we are at the furthest point from the source. And this is where it's very easy to get lost. But you also at a point where you want to stand up for yourself and assert yourself in the world, and you're looking for leadership positions. But you are so far from the spirit world, from the source, that the danger is to be completely disconnected. So when you see dictator or people like Donald Trump, they are at level 5, and we can say for sure that they are completely disconnected from their soul. I mean, their soul
Yeah.
is still in there, but very, very deep within them, but they shut it down so far away that it's like it's this tiny light that has a hard time shining,
Like, do
is
you
not
even have
completely
any
unable
soul
to
in
shine.
there?
Yeah. So this is how it happens. So at level 5, it can be someone like you can find entrepreneurs who have, in French, we're going to say they have sharp teeth. They have these long teeth and ready to bite into
Mm-hmm.
everyone, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
care. They only care about their
About
own
themselves.
successes and
Mm-hmm.
making money.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also have old soul entrepreneurs who just want to share their talents with the world and make an impact.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's so fascinating. I'm glad you touched on that because it's just such
Mhm.
an interesting concept to consider. And then now it kind of makes sense, like where he's at. Okay, well, I've already taken up an hour of your time. So I feel like this is such a deep topic. So it's hard to condense it down into kind of a bite-sized dose. But I know that you have a podcast and you said that you explain a lot of what we talk about in more detail kind of in the first season. So can you kind of just share about your podcast, like your offerings, all of your things?
Yeah. So my podcast is called Mystical and Practical. And in season 1, we go in detail about all this stuff. So just the soul ages, I have, I think, two or three episodes on them. I go over the soul ages of people, the countries have a soul age, and also if you're born in a young or old soul family. So 3 episodes just on soul ages. So when you say we can go deep and talk about it for hours, just to give an example. So it's a mystical and practical podcast. I also offer online courses to those who want to learn to channel their spirit guides, open their Akashic records. In October, I'm launching a course on past life regression as well, with meditations where people will be able to do their own past life regressions as many times as they wish to do. I am also a published author, but only in French because my publishing house is in Paris. But you can see my baby here on
Oh,
screen. For those of
mhm.
you who are watching, this is my first book on the Akashic Records. I now have 4 books out
Congratulations. That's
and
amazing.
2 others and 2 oracle decks to come. And I offer Akashic Records reading, either if you want to learn about your soul plan, your past lives, but also, you can take an a la carte reading and just ask any questions that you want to your soul team. And I do tarot readings and I have healings with the elementals. That is fun.
Love that.
And yeah, I have a blog. What else? I do so many things. Like I
Goodness.
have
I'm
this
like,
old soul
whoa.
thing with a mission of exploration.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with it all? I know. I feel the
It's
same. I
fun.
got so much going on. But it's fun, right? It's enjoyable.
Yes, and I'm very organized, and I used to work in marketing, so I already knew how to organize myself and show
Okay.
myself to the world. And I have people now who are working with me and helping me out. Of course, I don't put everything on my shoulder because this year, when it turned 2026, I was like, oh, I am not anymore a one woman show. This is
Yes.
over. I'm getting people to help me. So, yeah.
I love that. I have a quick question. So you said, what was the name of the book initially that was very that you had seen outside of the in your mind's eye at the cemetery? What was that called again?
It is The Soul Journey by Michael Newton.
Okay. And do you
Yeah.
have a current favorite divination tool?
I really like tarot and oracle cards. I am someone who likes to have fun. I have a strong performer soul type, and when you have that, you like to play. And even though when I do readings for myself or others, we're not playing, like sometimes we tackle over trauma and it's not playing, there is this fun element to me of working with the cards and having this object
Hmm.
with me and letting the cards come to me. So it's my favorite tool right now.
Do you ever work with stones or crystals?
I do. Yeah, I have a lot around me, but you cannot see them
Hmm.
on screen. But I have a lot of stones and crystals, and I really like choosing one before I do a reading. Like my
Hmm.
clients never see it, but I choose one, whether it's big or small, just the one that calls out to me.
Do you have one that is like a particular favorite of yours?
Yes, I'm going to show it. Is this on YouTube? I forget
Yes.
if,
Hmm.
yes.
It
Okay, so
will be,
for
yes.
those who are watching on YouTube and Spotify, this is
Oh,
my
beautiful.
amethyst, and it's actually my birth stone. So
Hmm.
since childhood, I felt this connection to amethyst because I've been told it's my birth stone, but it's purple, it's lovely, and it's always there by my side. And it's kind of, look, it's perfect to put in a corner. So it's in the
Hmm.
corner of my desk.
I have very strong connections with amethyst as well. It's always been one of my favorites since I was a kid.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. This was really fun. I'm just like, I want to dive into your podcast. I want to listen to all those episodes. I want to learn more. There's just so much to learn. There's so much to learn out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Ashley.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, I'm going to let you go. Everyone, I will put all of her contact information in the show notes. Go check out her podcast, her Instagram, all of the things, website. And Meli, have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for spending this time at the threshold with me. If you want to go deeper, follow me on Instagram at mystical.mama.ash, where I share daily crystal magic and behind the scenes of this liminal life. You can also find resources, previous episodes, and ways to work with me at bigcrystalenergy.com. We're also on YouTube at Big Crystal Energy Podcast. And if this episode resonated with you, please rate it and review it and share it with a friend that you think would connect with it. It would mean so much to me and helping build this beautiful community of other magical friends and crystal workers. Thank you so much. Until next time, bye.